This is a Fox 5 News special. Fox 5 investigates.
Hello, I'm Fox 5 IT reporter Randy Travis. Innocent until proven guilty. It's the bedrock of our judicial system. But in reality, just an arrest is enough to drastically affect someone's life. Our investigation discovered innocent Georgians jailed on felony drug charges based largely on one of these, the results of a $2 test. And as you'll see in the next half hour, the harm can be heartbreaking.
We've never been to jail in our life, and being there was like a different world to me.
Test kits don't lie. Man, I don't do no drugs. I don't.
We said, go ahead, search. You know, we don't have anything. We don't do anything.
If you had waited in this particular case, your department, you wouldn't have sent an innocent person to jail.
That's a great way to look at it.
The offer on the table was 25 to do 20 years. Do 20 years for incense.
Where are you headed to tonight?
If you drive in Georgia, you could wind up the reluctant star of your own police dash cam video, just like this Villa Rica teenager.
Tell me again why you're so nervous.
A Douglas County deputy pulls you over for a minor traffic issue. In this case, failure to maintain lane. You just want to get back on the road.
Is there anything in that car that's illegal?
Sure, you've got nothing to hide. But if a cop relies on one of these, being innocent may make no difference.
What am I getting arrested? I'm going to explain something to you in just a second.
It blew my mind. I just didn't think it could happen.
These test kits have been around for decades, a cheap, fast way for a street cop to test for the presence of illegal drugs in the field. Drop some of the suspicious substance into the disposable packet, follow the directions, and watch to see whether the solution matches the color on the package. But even the box says don't take their word for it. All test results must be confirmed by an approved analytical laboratory. But how often does a real lab reverse those field test findings? More than you might think. We obtained all the negative drug test reports from the GBI crime lab and then researched to see how many of those started with a positive field test. We confirmed 145 false positives in just 1 year, wrongly implicating Georgians of all races in all parts of our state. The test kits got it wrong 11 times for heroin, 24 times for ecstasy, 40 times for cocaine, 64 times for meth. All of those field test failures.
So there is weed in the car? No, there's no weed in the car.
Rockdale County deputies pull over Ed McFadden because of a busted tag light. The deputy smells marijuana, which McFadden blames on a friend who had driven the truck earlier.
Since I smell the weed, I'm going to search the car. Go ahead. Go.
They don't find any marijuana, but according to their drug field test, they find something far more serious. Crack cocaine. Listen to what the deputy says next.
That's fine. Test kits don't lie. Man, I don't do no drugs. I don't.
2 days after missing work and paying a bail bondsman, McFadden got his truck out of impound and realized sometimes test kits do lie.
As soon as I seen those candy wraps, I said, breath mess. Anybody I was telling that, nobody believed me.
In fact, the incident reports list false positives for things many of us might have in our car or home. This Macon woman had an open bag of blue cotton candy in her car. Check out her reaction when Monroe County deputies told her the field test indicated she was a meth dealer.
He just kept asking me, "Is there something you need to tell me? You know, we can go ahead and talk about this right now." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to tell you to test that again."
Instead, she spent 3 months in jail, unable to make a $1 million cash bond. The crime lab ultimately cleared her, but not before Daisha Fincher missed the birth of her twin grandsons and wasn't there to comfort her daughter through a miscarriage.
And I thought it was my fault that she had a miscarriage, and that was hard because I couldn't put my arms around her. So that was really hard on me.
A bad arrest can ruin lives in many ways.
Look, is there anything illegal in the car? Is there any marijuana in the car?
On their way home from a rare dinner out last October, Simon Kofi and his wife Clarice are stopped by a Dorville police officer. He's not happy with a plastic cover over their license plate. He also believes he smells a, quote, little odor of marijuana.
And if I don't find anything, you guys will be on your way, okay? If I do find something, somebody's going to jail tonight.
Someone did go to jail, but just like all the others here and across the country, it wasn't because they had something illegal. a field drug test wrongly said they did.
I know I'm innocent, so whatever that is gonna come, I know I'm innocent.
Simon and Clarice are trying to have a baby. Back in October 2017, she was taking a common vitamin, folic acid, in hopes of improving their chances. She put half in a baggie so she wouldn't forget to take them at work. Dorville police found the tablets in the glove compartment.
Looks like it'd be X.
To check their hunch, Dorville police did a quick field test on those white tablets. According to their report, the white tablets tested positive for ecstasy.
What are you thinking during all this?
We thought we were watching a movie.
For 2 weeks, the couple sat in the DeKalb County Jail until their public defender could convince a judge to release them on a signature bond.
I kept crying all the time.
By the time they got out, the damage had been done. Clarice's employer fired her for not showing up to work. Simon missed his swearing-in ceremony to become an American citizen. 5 months later, the GBI Crime Lab released its own findings on those white tablets, negative for controlled substances. Case closed, charges dismissed, but they still show up when employers do a background check.
So are the tests themselves to blame, or are cops just misreading the results? We gathered many of the household items that law enforcement officers wrongly determined tested positive for drugs. And we tested them ourselves. Pop the first ampule.
We carefully followed the instructions for the NARC-2 test kit made by Searchy, the leading provider of police field tests and the one most often listed for the 145 false positives. Many of our tests came back negative, the solution not matching the color on the package that would indicate drugs are present. Then we tested blue cotton candy. It said we had a bag of blue meth.
A clear example of a false positive.
We also tested folic acid, the vitamin that Dorville police said was ecstasy. A positive test should show up purple.
Could be purple, could be red, but it's certainly not ecstasy. If it came back this color for Dorville police, and maybe it wasn't as well lit as our studio is right now, you might understand why they saw it as purple.
So could some tests be faulty and some cops colorblind? Both of these crime photos supposedly show a positive reading, even though the colors clearly don't match. In Georgia, there is no mandatory training for a cop to use a field test. In a statement to the Fox 5 I-Team, Searchy would not address our questions about the possible color confusion. Our NARC presumptive drug tests are presumptive only. All samples should be sent to a crime lab for confirmation. Monroe County Sheriff's Office would not comment about the cotton candy arrest. Dorville police wouldn't comment either, other than to suggest that Simon and Clarice share some of the blame because they did not keep their vitamins in the original bottle. There is no law that requires that.
As a parent, you feel powerless to prevent this from happening.
Brian and Erica Keel will never forget their teenage son's call that night from the Douglas County Jail.
They say I have drugs. And, Mommy, I don't have any drugs. Mommy, I didn't do anything.
The son of a federal prison chaplain and a school counselor had never been in trouble before. The family had just moved to Douglas County 2 weeks earlier.
Why are you breathing so heavy? I'm making you nervous.
We played them the dash cam video.
That powdered substance right there in your car showed a positive response on a field test for methamphetamine. I had no idea what that was. So how am I supposed to know what's in your vehicle, sir?
The family says what the field test claimed was meth was likely cleaning supplies left over from moving their daughter into a new apartment. There was no other evidence of drug use in the SUV. It would take 18 months before the case was ultimately dropped. Their son unable to get a summer job or travel out of state because of the pending felony.
We need to make sure that we have true evidence, and those test kits are not true evidence.
Do you think your guy screwed up?
I don't think so. I don't think he had just that test kit to believe that there were narcotics in the car.
What else did he have besides the test kit?
Well, I mean, that's obvious if you watch the video that he had several things that would indicate that there were a potential that he was doing something wrong.
A guy who was nervous.
Well, he was nervous. He had an out-of-state license.
If they got arrested or they got stopped. By,
yeah, I agree with that.
We don't put people in jail when they're more nervous than usual, though, right?
Not at all.
Last year, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office bought a $30,000 handheld mass spectrometer to test for suspicious drugs in the field, reducing their dependence on the field tests. While Sergeant Jesse Hambrick won't second-guess his deputy that night, this seasoned drug investigator agrees it's a mistake for cops to hang all their probable cause on a $2 test.
As a narcotics investigator, that kit only confirms what I already know. But if we have officers out there that are not sure what they know and using that kit to confirm their suspicions, I mean, that's a whole different mentality.
A mentality that forgets the pain of the words felony drug arrest.
And if you think these people are cashing in, think again. Georgians who tried to sue have seen their cases dismissed. The court's ruling police acted in good faith, even if they made a bad arrest. Coming up, should police let someone go if a field test is their only evidence? It can take months for the crime lab to issue a drug report, so you might understand why these field tests are so popular with police. They can give a reading in a matter of seconds, right there on the scene. But some agencies heard about our findings and decided it's better to be right than quick.
It's just after midnight this past summer, and a small canister inside a beat-up Jeep Cherokee has Lawrenceville police extra curious. They questioned the couple just pulled over for driving with no registration.
Oh, that's fine. It has, it actually has
what it is.
Sweetener in it.
Sweetener? Like Splenda?
Yes.
Interesting.
Interesting because their drug field test already determined that mystery white substance was amphetamines. Someone's headed to jail tonight on felony drug charges.
There's nothing in it. It is sweetener. We don't even do drugs.
A Fox 5 I-Team investigation discovered law enforcement across Georgia making felony drug arrests based largely on the results of these $2 tests, commonly called NIC tests. Even though the box itself screams in capital letters, all test results must be confirmed by an approved analytical laboratory. In just 1 year, the state crime lab reversed 145 positive field tests. That meant innocent Georgians spent days, even weeks behind bars before they could make bond, sometimes losing jobs or homes.
Before our investigation aired, did you have any idea that these tests were suspect?
No, I did not.
But some departments already had concerns. When we analyzed those 145 false positive cases, we discovered 13 examples where police decided to hold off making a drug arrest until they received crime lab confirmation. Good thing. Otherwise, Duluth police would have wrongly arrested these 3 delivery workers for cocaine possession.
You want a weapon to take it with you? You got my address and all my information. I ain't going nowhere.
They insisted it was air freshener. They were right.
I really want to keep my job.
Rockdale County stopped relying on field tests after we profiled an innocent driver they wrongly jailed. A month later, Georgia Tech police stopped using field tests altogether because of the controversy. A false positive convinced them this man was an ecstasy dealer, even though he insisted the small white balls in his car were packing material. He was right.
What drug would that possibly be? Balls.
So if you had a GBI test that says one thing, a field test that says something else, which one would you go with?
Oh, obviously the GBI test.
Phil Price is the commander of the Cherokee Multi-Agency Narcotics Squad. He believes if a field test is a cop's only evidence, they should release the suspect.
And you can always come back after the lab results come back and find that individual.
Is it that easy to find him?
Well, I will not say that it's easy. I will say that that's what we do for a living. We go find people.
I was upset because I knew that there wasn't anything. There was nothing. It was just sweetener.
Back to that Lawrenceville couple in the summer of 2018 having a very bad night.
And stuff actually test positive.
Do you mean test positive in a NIC kit and then not be positive?
Yes.
Not that I've heard of.
I mean, really, I thought that was it. They would not listen.
Somebody listened.
Yeah.
That would be the supervisor on the scene, Sergeant Jimmy Inlow. While Lee Cowart sat handcuffed in the back of one patrol car staring at a felony drug charge, Sergeant Inlow drove his car to a nearby convenience store, walked inside, and grabbed a packet of sweetener.
I was either going to prove them right or wrong, and I proved them right.
Yep. Turns out they were right, too.
This is Splenda.
Is it? The test positive for amphetamine was Splenda?
I was just kind of shocked.
This driver would not spend weeks in jail unable to post bond. They let him go. Lawrenceville police decided to wait for the crime lab to determine whether someone here committed a felony. For cases like this, that's their policy now.
It would have been pure hell.
Instead, they lucked out. getting stopped just as word started to spread about the danger of these field test failures. When we return, our investigation prompts calls for change worldwide. Would you ever confess to a crime you knew you did not commit? We'll meet a man who nearly did just that. Justin Mallory says he'll never forget the day he sat in an APD precinct after a suspected drunk driving arrest, watching police suddenly get excited.
And they're doing these drug testing kits and they're high-fiving each other and they're like, we got them. And I just know I'm here for traffic. And they're talking about the drug dealer. So I'm thinking it's the guy next to me or this guy is the drug dealer that they got. And then I find out they're talking about me. And it was like I got kicked in the head by a horse.
The X-ray tech would spend the next 4 weeks in the Fulton County Jail. Accused drug traffickers with 2 ounces of meth don't get a quick bond. Mallory wrote letters from jail trying to explain that what they tested was really incense and baking ingredients. By the time a judge finally granted him bond, Mallory's fears had come true. Evicted from his apartment, his truck repossessed, his fish and turtles dead.
Everything I had amassed in my 18 years of being in Atlanta was gone.
Nobody wants to see someone who's innocent of a crime go to jail and spend days in jail for something they didn't do.
For 33 years, Pete Skandalakis locked up drug offenders. Today, the former DA represents all prosecutors in Georgia. He's actually encouraged by our discovery that false positive tests led to 145 people wrongly suspected of felony drug charges.
I think this is a good story. I think it is going to make a difference, and it's going to cause law enforcement agencies to look at their policies and to get this right.
Get it right because we found something else disturbing in our research. Of the 145 false positive cases, 3 chose to plead guilty before the state crime lab results came back. Why would they do that? We were unable to find any of the 3. 2 of them are homeless. All got first offender or conditional discharge status, meaning the conviction will disappear from their records as long as they can stay out of trouble. When he was at his most desperate, Justin says a public defender came to him with a way to at least get moved from Fulton County.
The offer on the table was 25 to do 20 years. Do 20 years for incense.
He said no, but admits now he might have taken a deal to be released on time served.
You were so miserable in the Fulton County Jail that you were willing to confess to a crime that you knew you didn't commit.
Absolutely. I was seeing it was very dangerous.
The client may be telling the lawyer, look, I didn't do this. But then the prosecutor's telling the lawyer, your guy can get out today.
That's why the head of the National Association for Public Defense is sharing our findings with all of his 18,000 members in hopes of better arguing motions for reduced bond or to dismiss charges altogether.
I sent this out to everybody. I think it'd have the same impact on nationwide that it's had apparently among law enforcement in Georgia.
They certainly are, as your investigation is detailed, are subject to error.
LaGrange Police Chief Lou Dekmar also happens to be the past president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. He's making sure all 32,000 members in 152 countries review their policies too. The group plans new test kit policy recommendations sometime next year.
Our criminal justice system is based on the notion that it's better that 10 guilty go free than 1 innocent person be convicted.
A rare moment when the police chief, the public defender, and the prosecutor all agree.
I think it's going to be a great help.
Coming up, making the best of a bad arrest. Finally, we return to the story of Simon and Clarice. They're the couple who spent 2 weeks in the DeKalb County Jail. A false positive field test convinced Doraville police they had caught a pair of ecstasy dealers. The baggie actually contained a common vitamin Clarice was taking in hopes of getting pregnant. While in jail, Simon missed his swearing-in ceremony to become an American. Even though the charges were ultimately dropped, Simon had a hard time convincing the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Office. We got involved and sent immigration officials our story. A few days later, we got to witness the arrival of a new citizen.
Was there any point in there where you said, I don't want to be an American anymore?
No, I have a very positive thought. I didn't want that to be a hindrance for all the positive things I have and all what I want to do for the country.
Stories like his are already making a difference. I'm Fox 5 I team reporter Randy Travis. Thanks for joining us.